The book Scum and Villainy by Pablo Hidalgo came out recently, and it is jam-packed with information. It's written from the perspective of an in-universe law enforcer who happens to be the grandson of Tan Devo from the Clone Wars, and like the name implies, it breaks down case files regarding the criminal underworld from the Republic, the Empire, and the New Republic. Today I'll be going over all the smaller, fun facts I noticed in the book. Starting in the Republic era, and on a personal note, I could not stand Tan Devo in the Clone Wars. I've called him my least favorite character in all of Star Wars before, but his backstory of growing up disgusted with living in a crime-ridden level of Coruscant and the way he was written in general made me appreciate him much more, so bravo, Pablo Hidalgo! The Clone Wars are said to have helped legitimize criminal syndicates thanks to signing treaties with them like the alliance we can see the Republic form with Jabba the Hutt in the Clone Wars movie. The lower levels of Coruscant suffer from species tribalism, so the police that work there wear uniforms that hide their features. A Pyne criminal is shown being arrested and is mentioned as a member of the Wandering Star, a criminal organization in the book Last Shot. They are said to have had a base on level 1313 of Coruscant. Dex's Diner is mentioned as a noted meetup spot for criminals, but Devo was very careful to make sure he listed Dex himself as a good and reputable being, and I just thought that was funny. Tan talks about watching Dan'l Phaetoni, who was described as a low-level con man. Dan'l was the cameo character played by Anthony Daniels in Attack of the Clones, briefly seen in the Outlander nightclub. His past as a con man is a carryover from Star Wars Legends. When discussing the criminal record of Boba Fett, Devo begrudges the fact that the Republic is fine with turning children into soldiers thanks to the Kaminoans' age acceleration, but that is a really interesting point. Is physical age the same as mental age? That's definitely a morally gray area, and one I think I might explore in a future video. It's noted that some criminals mark their skin with tattoos to show their commitment to whatever criminal organization they belong to. The more elaborate the markings, the more troubling the individual's criminal history was, and that's true in the real world too. At least it is according to the movie Eastern Promises, and let's face it, that's where all my knowledge about criminal tattoos comes from. Anyway, the book goes on to discuss conductive pigment that could hold smuggled data and the difficulty in law enforcement to profile tattooed individuals because so many species are known to have cultural markings that aren't criminal at all. The Republic refused to profile based on circumstantial evidence like that, but the Empire quickly set up a procedure to do so in its early years. Quinlan Vos is said to have been very approachable by law enforcement for a Jedi. Devo liked him and was silent on his presumed death. I still hope he lives and maybe Devo helped him, or maybe I'm just reading way too much into this. Devo was very frustrated by the Reiko Hardeen mission with Obi-Wan. The Jedi didn't let law enforcement know anything about it, and the prison break released dozens of criminals, confirming Boba Fett and Bossk were included in that list, which I don't believe we knew for sure until now. Of course, once they escaped, they began working together along with Dengar, C-21 Highsinger, and Latz Razi, but their gang is named for the first time as Krait's Claw. Aurra Sing and Embo are also mentioned as part of the crew, which would have been seen in planned stories for the Clone Wars. The Zrexis cartel from the Darth Maul comic is mentioned as a collection of semi-legitimate droid manufacturing firms. They shipped fake restraining bolts to help Glitch, part of the droid Gotra, attempt starting a droid uprising. Emperor Palpatine shut down investigations into Zev Zrexis' death, presumably to hide the involvement of Darth Maul, who murders her in the comic. Devo says there are rumors circulating that pod racing is like professional wrestling, with engineered drama. Devo found evidence that Sebulba hired racecourse assassins. Devo also helped shut down a pod race track on Coruscant that was to be opened by Zugga Entertainment. Zugga is a reference to Groff Zugga, who hosted the pod races in the Episode 1 Racer video game. Moving on to the Imperial era, the White Worm Gang from Solo is discussed by the Imperial Security Bureau, but ultimately decided the Scrum Rats and Lady Proxima were beneath them, leaving the problem with Corellian security. Corsac was from Star Wars Legends originally, and Rogue Squadron pilot Corran Horn was a member. The Corellian city Tyrena is mentioned, and was a location from the Legends Han Solo book, The Paradise Snare. Dryden Voss's collection is covered extensively. His Mandalorian armor was stolen from the Museum of Mythos on Calavella. It's said to be Rally armor, and Rally Masters are described as battlefield commanders during the ancient wars of Mandalorian expansion that helped define their borders. The Dancing Goddess statue is said to have been stolen from a man named Barpotamus Drebel. Drebel did own the statue in the old Marvel comics from the 80s. More Mandalorian artifacts are mentioned having been stolen from Clan Wren and Clan Ordo. The Wrens, of course, are from Star Wars Rebels, but the Ordos are from Star Wars Legends, most famously Canderous Ordo from Knights of the Old Republic. Another mentioned stolen artifact is a star map that claims Duros, Alderaan, and Corellia were considered by scholars to be the cradle of galactic civilization. And finally from Dryden's collection is a stolen data plaque from an ancient Jedi survey craft called the Permandiri Explorer. That ship was mentioned in Han Solo's Revenge, one of the Legends Han Solo adventures by Brian Daley. Malachite poisoners are also brought up, and they're another element borrowed from the same story. There are profiles on each of the bounty hunters from The Empire Strikes Back. Bossk is said to have assisted in pacifying a Wookiee uprising after the Clone Wars. He also lost an arm to a Wookiee on Ord Mantell. While details there are vague, that could be a hint that Bossk is the bounty hunter that Han ran into there. Boba Fett is mentioned as being not of Mandalorian heritage, although his armor is said to be authentic. Dengar is said to have been a gladiator before becoming a bounty hunter, which was part of his Legends history as told by the old Essential Guide to Characters. IG-88 is believed to have been liberated by the droid Gotra. He also has a nickname listed as Flut Droid. In Legends, that was the codename of the project that resulted in the IG-88 models and IG-72 as told by Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Zuckuss's unique, mystical abilities as a Gand findsman made him a person of interest for the Imperial Inquisitors, but they did not find him to be Force-sensitive, or at least not powerful enough to be a threat. Copycats of certain bounty hunters are mentioned, specifically those emulating Boba Fett in knockoff Mandalorian armor. That could be a reference to Jodo Kast, the short-term replacement for Fett in Legends that was eventually killed when it was decided he survived the Sarlacc pit. Reinforcing the Jodo Kast connection is a mention of Puggles Trod, a Lasat bounty hunter known to be allies with Kast. Both characters first appeared in the RPG book Tatooine Manhunt. Dr. Evazan has an extensive profile telling us that he once worked as Dryden Voss's personal doctor, and that's where he first developed the Decraniated that can be seen in Solo and Rogue One. The doctor struck out on his own after Dryden's death. It's also said that Dryden had a crossed heritage of multiple species. It's mentioned that the Tantive 4 was destroyed in a catastrophic meteor collision, killing all on board. That was the fate most of the galaxy was told in Star Wars Legends. It's also implied that Tandivo was killed on Alderaan by the Death Star. After the defection of Crix Madine, Inferno Squad is mentioned as having to secure any potentially harmful intelligence he had access to. In a profile about Han Solo, carbonite is said to have been used in ancient times to keep long-distance travelers in stasis for interstellar travel. It's also said that Han was likely in pain the entire time he was frozen, described as a big, wide-awake nothing. Getting into the New Republic era, the government created Sector Rangers to keep law and order, a concept first introduced by Star Wars Legends. B-Wings can be seen in one piece of artwork for the New Republic, and it's just nice to know they're still around. The Hutt cartel is said to have never fully recovered from Jabba's death thanks to infighting over his rightful successor. Their weakening allowed for the rise of other crime lords like Rin Riven D from the book Bloodline. I believe this book gives us the first description of Ithor, homeworld of the Ithorians, which is covered in a massive sacred jungle, which matches up with the planet's Legends history. The Guavian Death Gang is speculated to be the handiwork of Dr. Evazan or maybe some unknown protege. King Prana, who ordered the Rathtars from Han in The Force Awakens, is given a full name of Grevoth Prana IX, and the art shows us what he looks like. His collection of animals rivals that of the Coruscant Zoo. And that's everything I caught from the book. Scum and Villainy was a really fun read and offers a ton of great information as well as fantastic artwork for many previously unseen characters or groups. I highly recommend this reference book. I put a link in the description of this video to purchase it if you're interested. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.